what is finite series? Finite means you are adding the notation for sum. It's called sigma, summation notation. If you start from n now, it goes to infinity. That means it goes to the infinity term. That's called the infinite series. And although there are no properties of real numbers addition that allows to take the sum of an infinite series, we can determine the partial sum. And sum, when it converges to a certain number, then we can also find the infinite series using the limit. So sequence of partial sum meaning finite series when you have a fixed number of n. But here, this one is going to the infinity. Then when you find the limit as n approaches infinity, that equals to s. We say the series converges to s. So s is the sum of the infinite series. So how do you write it in a sigma notation? Sigma from nk equals to 1 to positive infinity. Ak, the sequence, equals to limit of n approaches to positive infinity. So instead of writing here positive infinity, you can also use the limit notation from 1 to n, which is positive infinity, equals to s. And the limit of partial sum does not exist, then we can say it diverges and has no sum. So here, first find the first 5 terms in the sequence of partial sum, finite series. Does the series converge or diverge? If the series converges, find the sum, meaning find the limit as n approaches to positive infinity. So let's look at this first. So it says find the first 5 terms in the sequence of the partial sum. So 0.1, 0.01, so it seems like you're multiplying by 1/10. 2, 3, 4. The next one will be 0.00001, one more, and dot, dot, dot. So what do you think? Does it converge or diverge? It converges to what? What happens? It keeps going and it converges to what? Start from 0.1. And then 0.01, when you add it, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So it keeps just adding 1. So it converges to that number, right? When you keep adding it. What about number 20? You're adding 10. So this is arithmetic, right? Adding 10. That means your number is keep growing. So when you keep adding these numbers, would that be a fixed number that you can come up with? No, it's going to get bigger and bigger. So for this arithmetic sequence or series, for this case, it will diverge because it will go to the positive infinity. It gets bigger, bigger. You keep adding bigger numbers. What about 3? What are you doing here? You're multiplying by -1. So then what happens? It becomes 0, then add 1, 1, then 0, 1, 0, 1. So it alternates from 0 to 1. So it diverges. So do you see any pattern for geometric and arithmetic? So as you can see, for arithmetic, the number is keep growing, or if it's negative difference, it gets smaller and smaller. It gets bigger negative numbers. So it will never convert to a certain number. It will always diverge. What about geometric series? We're going to look at the pattern here. So sum of the infinite geometric series, yes, this is something that you need to know, and the formula is also given. The geometric series, this is the first term, right? When you remember the explicit term of the geometric sequence, this is the first term. This is the ratio, and you raise it by k minus 1, right? It converges only if and only if the ratio, absolute value of ratio is less than 1. Okay, let's go back and look at it. What was the ratio of the one that converged? You see, this was 0.1, which was less than 1. What about here? the ratio of absolute value equals to 1, which was not less than 1, so it diverges. Okay? So when the ratio is less than 1, the absolute value, then it converges, and it converges to sum of this. Okay? So let's try. The one that we did was what? 0.1, 0.1 plus 0.01 plus 0.001. So what is that equal to? What are we doing each time? The ratio was 1/10. So you do first term, you just put first term divided by 1 minus the ratio, which is 1/10, which gives you 1/10. 0.1 is, or you can just plug into the calculator, and 1 is what? 10 over 10 minus 1 over 10 equals to 9 over 10. So when you simplify it, you get 1 over 9. What is 1 over 9 on the calculator? 0.111111, which we got it as our answers, right? So you can just use this formula to find the limit of the sum of geometric infinite series. It only applies to geometric when the absolute value of the ratio is less than 1. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at these. Again, what about arithmetic? It will never converge. Infinite series for arithmetic series, it will never converge. It will always diverge. So here, determine whether the series converges or diverges. If it converges, find the sum. Please pause the video here and try these questions on your own and check your answers. So this is what? Geometric, the first term, and the ratio raised to k minus 1. So this is geometric. So that's good. Check. What's the ratio? 7.5, which is less than 1. Check. So that means it converges. If it converges, what do? You plug this formula. The first term, which is this one right here, 3 over 1 minus 0.75, which equals to 3 divided by 1 minus 0.75 is 0.25. So you get 12. So it converges to 12. What about this one? It's geometric, right? The first term is 1. Pi over 2. What's pi over 2? So this is geometric. But what's the ratio? Pi over 2, isn't that 3.14 divided by 2, which is greater than 1? So let's see. Pi divided by 2. It is 1.57. 1.57, which is greater than 1, so it diverges. You cannot find its limit, right? What about here? Again, geometric. So here's the first term, 1. If you don't see anything, it's 1 times that. And what's the absolute value of negative 4 over 5? It is less than 1, so it is geometric. Good, check. Less than 1, check. Then you can use this formula right here. The first term divided by 1 minus negative 4 over 5 equals 2. 1 minus negative 4 over 5. But it's in denominator, so 1 over that. 1 over 1.4. 1.8 equals 2. Math, enter, enter. It becomes 5, 9. So it converges to 5 over 9. That's 5. Converges to 5 over 9. Or you can write the limit as n approaches positive infinity of series negative 4 over 5n. The sum of, right? You have to use the sum notation. One to n equals to 5 over 9. Okay. What about the last one? What are you doing each time? You multiply by 1/2. So that is less than 1, and it is geometric. So it will converge to, what do? You put the first term and 1 minus the ratio, which is 1 over 1/2, which equals 2. Now, go ahead and work on the homework. Page 750, 9 through 19 odds, 23 to 30 all.